It's time for Criminal Law 101
with criminal defense attorney Ken Ulo from the law firm of Smith & Ulo
on 1011 WJRR.
We are Orlando's rock station. Ken, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hope you had a good weekend.
Had a great weekend, except for a little bobbled order that I was telling you about earlier.
Oh, this is actually scary. I was going to say classic.
Listen to this, man, and you really don't stop and think about it till something like this happens. A real estate open house.
Yeah, my fiance, she was doing an open house this weekend, and
She's a real estate agent.
she is, and she was in an open house by herself, and this guy charges in bad intentions. Got really lucky. One of the couples that had walked into the house just as this guy was coming in had just so happened to come in just as this psycho would come into the house, which was huge. You know, if they weren't there, I don't know what would have happened. But going back to the Bob World Order, I was thinking, we got to get her armed, right?
Armed guard at the open houses now.
That's it, man. What's there a guy in the foyer with the machine gun for? Oh, that's Bob. BWO. Don't worry about it.
Isn't it sad, though, that it's come to that? It's in some cases.
Yeah, it is sad, right? That your person's just trying to go out there and do her job. I mean, it really made her upset too, like emotional. Like this is her life. This is her job, and now she's like, I can't go to open houses the same way that I used to be able to.
I'm sure scared. I mean,
Yeah.
we've heard stories about that and had him in idiotology where going after the female realtor in the open house. Wow.
I'm glad she's all right, man.
Yeah, me too.
All right, we do have a couple questions to throw your way. I wanted to ask you real quick, though, the Diddy sentencing on Friday afternoon, 4 years. He'll end up doing about 3 because of the time served, but and it was, I mean, he could have got up to like between 11 and 20 years.
Is that what he got? He got 4 on the dot?
4 years, and then they'll knock off the, I guess he's 14 months that he's already served.
He'll do less than that too, because I mean you got federal gain time, which is gonna kick in, which is like 85%, something like that.
See, that's why I just wish I would have given him 10 years.
What'd you think about him making plans for this week, assuming he was going to get no time, no sentence? He had appearance plans set for Miami this week.
I mean, that was just not a smart move, right? I mean, if I was his lawyer, I would have definitely been angry with him for that. I mean, what you're there to show the judge that you're genuinely remorseful about what you did, and his actions showed to me a lack of remorse, right? You're out there saying, "Hey, I'm free. I'm going home. I'm doing this."
Yet he's writing this letter the night before saying that what a changed man he is, and
yeah, I mean, that's kind of a slap in the face of a judge.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can see how that backfired on him big time.
All right. Oh, by the way, if you ever need to, because we had some people asking last week, if you ever need to get in touch with Ken directly about a criminal law situation, Ken at smithandulo.com. That's smithandulo.com. Here's some questions that came in. Question is, what protections do our kids or adults with special needs who might not fully understand what shoplifting is or any crime that they may be committing, what protections do those kids or people with special needs, like kids with special needs?
So every crime requires, I mean, most crimes, I mean, there's a couple that don't, but most of the crimes require some sort of actual intent to commit a crime. So, the reality is when you have people that just genuinely don't know that they're committing these crimes, they lack the mental health,
diminished mental capacity.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple ways that it can play out. I mean, you got just straight up, they didn't understand what they were doing type defense. Then you have competency. If they're that far gone where they really can't fully comprehend really the process and things like that, I mean, that case is never going to make it to the conclusion. I mean, those are cases that are going to get tossed out through competency and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's multiple protections, both the crime itself as well as once you get into the justice system. So, those are cases where usually you don't see it go all the way.
That said, though, the arrests and the process you're not protected from. If the crime, I'm doing air quotes around crime, is reported by, say, use the shoplifting as an example.
Mm-hmm. I would say that, officers doing the arrest have some obligation, and you see this all the time where police kind of abuse their authority and go out of their way to do things that are kind of overboard. So I think that, the police are kind of the gatekeepers to all this. I think the police should do a better job I mean, if they're arresting a handicapped kid that doesn't know what he's doing for a shoplifting incident, I think those are instances where a cop can kind of jump in and make
Use the common sense.
Yeah,
angle,
I mean, yes, we have the judicial system once it gets to that point, but you'd hope that officers are making the right call and just saying, hey, let's do a warning here. Obviously this kid doesn't know what he's doing.
Okay. Somebody else said if a repo driver assaults you, can you hold the company they're repoing for responsible? Like, insert name of car dealer has so-and-so Joe's repo, and that Joe from Joe's repo assaults the person who's having their car repoed. Could they sue the dealer?
So this is more of like a civil law question, but I mean, I'll answer it. There's not really any. Obviously, there's a criminal element involved with the guy attacking, but whether or not the actual company. So you'd have to ask yourself, is this within the scope of employment? Now, I think it would be reasonable to say that if you're in a bad area and the guy is pissed off about his car being repoed and some sort of incident occurs and there's some sort of altercation, then yeah, I think the repo company could face some liability.
There's two sides to every story in that type of situation there. So
yeah, but I think if you have a repo guy that just goes crazy and decides I'm going to start attacking people for no reason, then I think that potentially is a little bit not expected, not anticipated by the repo company. So I think you'd have a better argument from the repo company to kind of distance themselves from a driver that's acting outside of the scope of their employment.
Okay, can we do another one, Pat?
Yeah. Then I got one other thing I want to ask you about before we draw it to a close this week.
Criminal law question. My friend's been in prison 15 years now on a 22-year sentence. He was arrested outside of Walgreens with his own prescription of oxycodone. A few years after going in, the key witness overdosed and died. He's written countless appeals and can't get anyone to hear him. What options does he have? I
mean, he's coming close to the end of a sentence based off of what you're telling me. You're telling me 22 years, 15 years in. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's getting gain time, 85%. So he's doing 3 years. Got a couple years to go.
What do you mean by how does gain time work?
So you look at the federal, the state system when you're actually in prison versus like the county jail. County jail is a little bit more lenient. You're getting 5 days per month, per 30 days. And you can actually get an extra 5 days gain time if you're in like trustee program, doing cleanup, things like that.
This is all based on good behavior, though.
Correct. Well, everyone is presumptively getting this, right? Like there's statutory gain time, and they're getting this now. If they're in the box and things like that, they can lose privileges.
Gotcha.
But so you look at a case like this where the guy's doing a 22-year prison sentence. His regular appeal rights are gone. I'm guessing he's probably done 3850s and stuff like that. And 3850 is basically challenges against the ineffective assistance of lawyer or newly discovered evidence, things like that. The appeal rights are pretty much done this far into the process. Every once in a while, you'll get a post-conviction, like you see the Innocence Project and things like that, where they dig up like DNA evidence. You're always able to come back. It's pretty much unlimited, statute of limitations on that. You can go as far back as you want on a 3850 for newly discovered evidence. I mean, that's pretty much unlimited. Right. But for things like ineffective assistance of counsel, 2 years, appeal, you got to file that within 30 days of the sentence. So a guy like this, you're going to have really good appellate post-conviction, material, and you're going to have a lawyer that somehow can capture this within. You have to figure out like the time limit.
Okay. Attorney Ken Ullo with us from Smith and Ullo, criminal defense attorneys here in Central Florida. We're going to give you his contact info in a second. I wanted to ask you before we wrap up though this morning. Is there a set definition of interfering with law enforcement? Because we're starting to see a lot of incidents of this with these folks who are jumping in and trying to prevent ICE and Border Patrol from doing their jobs in some of these cities. You're seeing arrests happen. You're seeing interactions happen, and someone's going to get killed at some point, and that's unfortunate. But is there where is the line there? How is that determined?
So interference with law enforcement, at least in Florida, is not really like a typical term. It's not called really interference with law enforcement. I wrote down a couple of crimes that kind of fit similar things. For example, you got resisting an officer with violence, resisting an officer without violence, tampering with evidence, knowingly giving false information. Those are examples of things that kind of fit within that interference bracket.
Right.
This is you have the kind of the line between free speech and, this issue kind of playing out on a broader scale with these things, because, the reality is there's nothing unlawful about essentially going out and having a sign and saying, hey, I'm against this. But when it crosses over into the category of you're inciting violence and you are, basically refusing to comply with officers'
throwing
lawful commands,
things,
throwing objects. So you have this clash of the First Amendment that is just smashing dead right into these kind of subsets of criminal acts that are. So it's an interesting kind of interplay. I mean, we could probably talk about this.
We're going to see there's going to be probably plenty more to talk about in this arena as this kind of things are looking the way they're going. But
more and more often.
It's interesting.
I don't know if we have time to talk about it, but for a quick second, I know Allie back there has been bugging me to talk about this ticket. This Fix My Ticket issue? Can I briefly mention it?
Go ahead.
So we do this Fix My Ticket Friday. I'm not sure if you guys are in on this, and we've been getting some submissions. I just want to tell our listeners, we want actual good stories, right, for your driver's license. We got a submission last week for a Fix My Ticket, and the entire description was awesome. So it's we're trying to find actual fun, cool. You got pulled over by a jerk cop. You got this. Maybe you accidentally paid off a driving on suspended license by accident, and now your license is habitualized. Things like that to us are fascinating. So we love to hear your actual stories.
How do they submit these to you?
I know that Allie told me, and I totally forgot the exact submission record, but I think that it's through you guys. You guys have
I know that. What's the avenue? We're doing this in the afternoons, right?
Yeah. So they're supposed to email in their story, and they're supposed to describe in detail what exactly happened in their incident and why they're deserving of this.
Okay.
That way you can help out some listeners, WJRR.com.
All right. We'll try to get some more directive on that specifically for you for Fix My Ticket Fridays.
And she gave it to me just before I walked on.
Okay.
Well, you did have a lot of stuff to go over. By the way, if we didn't get to your questions, we will do them next week. We'll try to get to them. Ken at smithandulo.com is his direct email. Ken at smithandulo.com.
All right, Ken, appreciate it, man.
Good seeing you guys.
All right, see you next Monday.
Later, brother.
Lunch and Taco on demand. Download the iHeartRadio app.